Hello everybody, I hope you guys are doing well. Welcome to another true crime tale. Why am I waving like this? If you have seen the assassination of Gianni Versace, then you're gonna know the story that I'm about to tell you. If you haven't seen it, I suggest that after you watch me chat about it, you jump, skip and hop over onto Netflix and give it a go because it is really good. This is the anniversary. It's true crime stories told by me, Yinka Bokinni. And it's a little thing where I tell you a crime on the anniversary of it happening. And this week marks 23 years since the killing spree that would ultimately end in the murder of Gianni Versace outside his house in Miami Beach, Florida. So the man that I want to tell you about today, of course, apart from Versace, is Andrew Philip Cunanan. Now, he was born in August of 1969, and at the age of 31, he killed 5 people on a spree that lasted 3 months. It began on the 27th of April 1997 with the murder of his close friend Jeffrey Trail in Minneapolis. Cunanan beat Jeffrey to death with a hammer, and when the police found his body 2 days later, he was wrapped in a carpet in the home of a mutual friend of the two called David Madsen. Now, when Jeffrey's body was found, the police assumed that Andrew Cunanan and David Madsen were accomplices, that they had both been involved in the murder of Jeffrey and they were both on the run. They worked out that Jeffrey was killed 2 days before at 9:55 p.m. because that's the time that the watch that he was wearing when he was found had stopped ticking. The police started their hunt for the partners in crime. Witnesses had seen David and Andrew leaving the flat together. They'd seen them at restaurants together, so everybody just assumed that they were all in this together. But when David Madsen's body was found by a lake with a gunshot wound to the back of his head, the police realised that they weren't looking for 2 people. They were looking for one who murdered one friend, took another hostage, and then killed him in cold blood. I've read and seen lots of people say that David Madsen was the love of Andrew Cunanan's life. I have watched a documentary, I'll put all the links in the description, with David Madsen's family saying it. You know, people said that they overheard David say that he was worried about Andrew, and this seems to be the spark, the catalyst that just blew up. On May the 4th, 1997, Cunanan pulled up in Chicago and he killed 72-year-old Lee Miglin. Now, he was a real estate developer and he was found with his head, hands and feet wrapped in duct tape. He had been stabbed more than 25 times with a screwdriver and his throat had been cut with a hacksaw. In the grand scheme of Cunanan's killings, this one seemed very, very personal. Lee Miglin's family, to this day, they maintain that he did not know Andrew Cunanan, that it wasn't a sugar daddy or an escort thing gone wrong, which has been reported in the press. And also that's the story, I don't want to ruin the assassination drama, but a lot of Cunanan's victims were shot, and that's why the police, the FBI, believed that Lee Miglin's murder had to be personal. He was found in his garage with pornographic magazines strewn all around him as well. Just like tying somebody up and like wrapping them up in duct tape. Killing somebody is already horrifying, but then to go that step further to embarrass them. I don't know if compromising is the right word when you're speaking about murder, but it seems that he went that extra mile. It would just be a bit odd if it was a random dude who he's never met before. Like, why this guy? What Andrew did that day is that he nicked David's car when he took him hostage, and then he left that car at the scene, and then he took Lee Miglin's car. This guy was making no effort to cover his tracks. He was just driving people's cars, leaving evidence everywhere, but he got away with this for quite a while. On May 9th, Andrew Cunanan shot and killed 45-year-old caretaker William Reese. Now, it is believed that he did this only to steal his car, only to re-up on a vehicle. Every other person that he killed seemed to be part of a larger vendetta, not William Reese. He had no connections to Andrew Cunanan whatsoever, and he was found with a gunshot wound to his head, and his car, a red truck, had been stolen. The gun actually would later be found to be the same one that killed David Madsen. Every killing, of course, makes me feel sad, and in this story, they're all very pointless. I think William Reese's murder makes me feel extra sad because he was just seen as collateral by Andrew Cunanan. Oh, I need a car, let me kill this old guy. On May 12th, Cunanan began staying at the Normandy Plaza Hotel in Miami Beach, Florida, and he stayed there all the way up until June 14th, and this is where he was visiting the Miami club circuit, just like, you know, being a bit of an F-boy and hiding in plain sight, I might add, because a month after he rocked up to Miami, he was listed on the FBI 10 most wanted fugitives lists. Somehow they didn't find him. Cunanan even used his own name to pawn some stolen items in the beginning of July. Despite the police constantly checking pawn shops, they didn't clock him. And one of the cars that he stole had a phone in it. The police were tracking that phone, and then I think they told the radio station or something, and then they broadcasted it, and Cunanan was like, oh shit. So he ripped the phone out and dashed it. For the fact that 3 people had already been killed, it wasn't popping. When I'm speaking about this, it feels like I'm talking about the 60s or like the 70s, but this is the 90s. It wasn't that long ago. I was born when this was happening. Yeah, so on the 14th of July, seemingly out of money, Cunanan checked out of his hotel without paying for his last night there. And I've seen a lot of theories about what drove Andrew Cunanan to do what he did, to kill so many people, and this is what the internet has told me. Andrew was a troubled teenager. He was described as a liar by most that knew him. And I know that he was addicted to alcohol, to pain medication. And there are many sources that say that he knew Gianni Versace, but there are even more sources that say that he didn't. The general story is that like he was dumped by a sugar daddy and he bought a one-way ticket to Minnesota to go and see his mate David. Something went wrong there, and that's where the bloodbath began. He shot Gianni Versace outside his Miami Beach mansion when Gianni was returning from a morning walk down on the promenade on the 15th of July at around 8:45 a.m. Gianni was shot twice in the back of the head with the same gun that was used to kill David Madsen and William Reese. While he lay there after being shot, Cunanan ran off, and fans and tourists tried to take photos. It was a circus. There was blood on the streets. There were people with cameras. Police were trying to get a little blockade around. It was a public execution. And yet again, in all of the chaos, Cunanan managed to slip away. This is what I find so mad, because this was such a high-profile killing. I remember the funeral of Gianni Versace. Elton John and Princess Diana went to it, and then Princess Diana died a few months later. Like, you know, when I remember all of this being the news, and the fact that it was just this dude who was able to evade the police is just ridiculous. I've only mentioned 4 victims. Well, the 5th victim of Andrew Cunanan's spree is actually himself, because late July 1997, after being on the run for 3 months, he was found with a gunshot wound to the head after neighbours of the houseboat that he was laying low in heard the gunshot. He left no note, he left no explanation for his crimes, and to this day, exactly why Andrew Cunanan did what he did is unknown. There are rumours about him being angry about being HIV positive, but that's not true, because tests after he died showed that he was negative for the virus. There are rumours that him and Gianni Versace were acquaintances, but that doesn't seem to be anything significant. Like, they might have met briefly once, maybe Andrew Cunanan had an infatuation with him, but we know that the first 2 victims of Cunanan were the closest to him, and that he was most definitely in love with David Madsen, but that's all. None of the hours of research that I've done online explains exactly why Andrew Cunanan rocked up to the mansion that day and shot a man on the front steps. This is a very familiar story. If you have a theory, if you think being an armchair sleuth, a couch detective, that you know why, I really want to hear your theories about this, because I'm coming up with nothing here. But there you have it, the story of Andrew Cunanan, the man who went on a crime spree this week, 23 years ago. He killed 5 people, including Gianni Versace, and we don't know why.